the scripts. I do not want to take much of your time, but there are some more things which we'll discuss later. So to start, let me click on start recording. Since I'm using my Edge browser for the connection, I do not want to disturb it. So let me choose the Chrome browser. And anytime when you're recording your making your recording, make sure you're deleting your cookie so that when you're recording anything, those should we change proxy settings to record the script in Neoload like we do for JMeter? If not, how does Neoload record the script? That's a good question, Madhav. Neoload is not like JMeter. So Neoload, I mean, like JMeter, what happens is JMeter actually creates a kind of a web where it will tell the machine to come inside its proxy, but Neoload will actually use the system's proxy. So let me just show you what happens. So I think if you have missed it, let me just show you here. Going back to the preferences, the proxy, so Chrome browser, and just to show you, I'm using automatically detect settings, which is the system's proxy. Right, I'm not making any other changes. All I'm doing is I'm using the system's proxy. But just to make sure, your port should be in 8090, or that port should be in this particular port number. So only then you can record this, because I'll show you what happens in my Chrome. And if I go to my, okay, I can even show you here. If possible, just to try installing this proxy switcher, because this will save you a lot of time. I'm using manual proxy. This is the port number which I want to connect to the external world, right? Which is the same port number. So I'm using the same port number which I have in my Neoload, and then I'm using the local host as my proxy. This is not mandatory. Okay, if your system works, I mean, like, since I have changed it to Chrome proxy, I'm using this. If you are using a normal default proxy, yes, it will work fine in that case as well. Because if I'm using Edge, in that case, my normal recording, normal browsing, everything will work. This is just for Chrome, because I'm using a different proxy technique to connect to the external world. So coming back to this one here, let me start my recording. I've chosen Chrome, and here, as I told you, we have got several other protocols like Web, SAP GUI, which is the SAP, and then we do have Citrix. Yes, if you want to work on Citrix, yes, you can use this, and then the real browser. But now I'm going to use the web version, and I'm going to click on OK. And now what happens is, like, okay, now you might have a question like JMeter, do I need to bring the browser and enter the URL? No, it's not like that. It's Neoload. The tool will actually kickstart your browser, so you don't need to worry about bringing it. And the next thing is, like any other tool, you will get a window, a floating window like this, where you can enter the transaction name. So let's enter the transaction name 01 landing page. And then now I'm going to give the URL. And then the next one, which is the landing page, and then the home page at the store. And now I have got the home page. Not sure whether the login works, but let's try it. Click sign in. Okay, I click on sign in, and then enter credentials and login. Let me enter the credentials part. Login, yep. So luckily the login works. That should be fine. And now I'm going to add an item. So let me click yes. And now I will add an item. So I'm going to click, sorry, product ID. And then the next one, which is adding to cart. Add to cart. And then I'm going to proceed to checkout. So click proceed to checkout. And then the last, not the last, but still the ninth one is to click continue and then click confirm. Fine. So now the item has been ordered. So the order, I mean, the order that we have submitted has been successfully done. And now finally, let's sign out. Click on sign out and stop my transactions. And here, yeah, sorry, I just forgot to tell you, but let me tell you, is there any naming standard for naming convention of transactions? Yes, yes, Bhavna, we do have to follow a standard for naming conventions. This is how I normally follow, and most of us follows it. Always number the transaction and add the name in a manner that the business is able to understand, because we as a performance tester, we know what is happening. But as a performance tester, they do not know the technology. They know is, okay, what if I click in a particular screen, how much time does it take? So that's what they need to understand. So clicking on this particular button or clicking on this particular login button or clicking on this URL is what they think. So what they all know is, I'm entering an action. How much performance time does it need? Or how much performance time does it take? Right. So that's what they need to understand. So always make sure the naming convention should start with your. Initially, I used to start with the script number, but script number you can do it later. Start with the transaction number, because while you're going in your test results, you won't be getting confused, and you'll have a clear idea on like what is what and how does it go. And then what action are you doing? So your numbers, the transaction number, and what action. That's fine. That's very simple, right? It's easy to follow. Because if you give some random number or random words that nobody's able to understand, and at the end of the day, it's of no use. So that's the reason behind doing it. And these are the URLs which I do not want to record. So I'm just unchecking all of them. Yep, you can try. You can do all these all well. These I do not want it. So except this pet store is what we need. So rest everything, I'm deleting it. I'm just unchecking all of them. And if you do not want them to get recorded for the next time, just uncheck this so that next time these requests will not get recorded, and click on next. So now, as I told you, thank you, thanks, Gona. And coming back to this one. So searching for dynamic parameters. Yes, this is what I was telling you. So by default, see, it tells us that Neoload will search for the framework rules, right? If you have your framework already created, then Neoload will actually use your framework as well. I'll show you that as well. And then by default, whatever the frameworks that is already in the system, it will search and then it will extract the variable. So all we have to do is just to replace that, and that's very simple to do. So now it will search for the dynamic parameters. No parameters are found. That's okay. And you might have a question, do I need to do this? Yes, you have to do this. Select this option, override think time with 0 milliseconds. Yes, I'll tell you why. Click on next and click on this particular one. This is the authentication selection. Click on next and this is the username. Yep. And here's the password. Use multiple accounts. Click on next. For now, I'm going to use the from the login password list. That's fine. I'll show you how to do that using while you're doing it with the correlation part, sorry, the parameterization part. Okay, for now, let me go with this one. Next, finish. Okay, so for now, I have completed my scripting. I have created my script and I've completed it. But I'll let you know one more thing which I want to tell you. So when you are seeing in this floating window, does Neoload has auto correlation option? Yes, yes, Vamshi. Neoload has auto correlation option. That's what the framework does. So once you create a framework, and once you click on find search for the dynamic parameters, and when you do it, auto correlation happens. But it's not. When you are asking about auto correlation, is that something you're asking like in your load runner? Like what kind of what is your question exactly? What do you mean by autocorrelation thing? Okay, so in load runner, what do you do in terms of autocorrelation? Like you select a value and then you do right click autocorrelate. Is that right? You mean manual correlation? You will write the functions. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. See, we are not yet into that part, so I'll tell you that. Don't worry. So coming back to this window, which I want to tell you. So here we do have several buttons that you see here, right? So this is a recording button. Here we do have the pause button, where if you are recording something and if you want to take a quick pause, you can very well use this pause button and you can stop for some time and then you can start doing a record. But make sure you're not keeping it waiting for a long time, because after some point of time, Neoload will automatically close the or like cancel the recording, because they will start to use too much of memory, and then at some point of time your system will crash. So you can use it, but don't use it for a long time. And then you can stop the recording using this. At the end of the test, you can do it. And then here you can see three different, I mean, like two different options basically. So where you can record your script in the actions and in the end menu. I'll show you that in the structure of the Neoload. And then here you can give the transaction names, and here you have the folder. So if you want to create the name of this folder, you can very well use this. And this is the renderless point, and this is again the same thing which you see in Loader as well, where we can select a particular point as a renderless point, and then we can use it. So for now, let me stop the recording. And this is just one thing which I wanted to do, let you know in terms of what are the options we have while we are recording the script. So we have created the script. And the next thing which is we have to do is we have to validate the script, right? Because only we have a clear script. We did the recording. We just have that script, and now we have to validate it. So let me just check one more thing. Okay. Okay, rest of things fine. Okay. So to check your script, go to this button, check a user path, where you see a human icon with a tick button. So click on it. What is my renders point?